KSL Finals is tomorrow. You should check that out. That's a pretty awesome intro. I actually really, really like it a lot. It's not even like the opening, but it's like the trailer. It's
GSL semifinals right before that. So lots of great esports action going on, not only today, tomorrow, and then, of course, the third day of HGC right after that. But today's HGC games have been incredible. And I just wanted to add one thing to the highlight that was Miracle's win over Genji just a moment ago. I was talking to Wolf earlier. In the previous time, the first time that Miracle took out Genji, in the closing interview, Nachogen said, or it was asked, how did you feel? Did you feel like you could beat them? And he said, no, if we played them again, Genji would 3-0 us. And he sounded pretty confident about that. And, well, that did not come true. So a really cool story to keep following as Miracle keep taking out huge name after huge name. They beat Genji, and then they come back, and last week they beat Ballistics. Now they beat Genji again. It's like such an upward trajectory. So, we're transitioning from that to a team where the only direction they can go is up, because they are right at the bottom of the standings. Feliz have been struggling, but you were saying, well, if you feel like they are really trying to keep improving.
Yeah, I feel like they have improved a lot through Part 2, especially. Almost taking a game off Genji, having some really cleverly crafted drafts, better rotations, and I feel like you and I were talking about this a lot during the break, actually. It's something that I've talked to Artosis about a lot. He was the one who really brought this idea up a lot when he was casting Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm is a game where you're only as strong as your weakest link, like a chain, right? And I think that OJ is that player for Feliz, and in Part 2, he has stepped it up a lot, and that means that everything else on the team looks cleaner as a result. He's been a lot more careful of a tank. He still plays almost only Muradin, but,
it's not the worst hero to play if that's the only one you're going to play. The problem is that when you look across the table to these guys, you just have a highlight reel, a hall of fame of guys like Meriday in his day, the best support that you could get. And you also have Honkono coming back, who's doing very, very well. Gondar has just been kick-ass on their team as well. And so you really start to put together a team that does qualify and deserve to go to the Eastern Clash. Maybe they struggle while they're there, but they are just a solid middle-of-the-pack team, and that is not something you can say about Feliz.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the roster of BlossoM, it's really 3 legends, Honkono, Meriday, and Wiz, and then you have Modern Life and Gondar, who came up in the 2017 era. Modern Life on Tempest very briefly until he dropped back down to BlossoM. Gondar was the pickup mid-2017, who was just a mechanical god and was new to Heroes of the Storm at the time, had never been in the pro scene ever, and was picked up just because of his mechanical skill in Hero League. And now he's playing DPS. It's like he's finally realized his full potential. He's playing carry heroes, essentially. So that's very exciting to see. Here's our Battlegrounds bans, and our first pick will be Cursed, with bans on both Volskaya and BOE.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that about Gondar. That was kind of the big story for this new iteration of BlossoM after their the roster changes at the beginning of last split, was that Honkono is playing tank. So Gondar has to transition, and for a while it looked a little shaky, but now they've really settled into their new roles. So see what it looks like as they take on Feliz here in game number 1. Picks and bans, first of which is Sally Whitebane.
Yep, she'll be removed here along with Genji, who's permabanned. And we will see probably the Maiev and or Diablo here, as we do see the Maiev come down. It's Cursed Hollow, so a very contested pick is Hanzo. So and Diablo's very weak on this map, so BlossoM may consider the Hanzo ban here to prevent Feliz from having that boss clear and camp clear timing, as well as the long distance presence of his heroic, the Storm Arrow, or rather the Dragon's Arrow. So that's a big question here for this map specifically. We'll find the answer in just 1 second. They will take the Garrosh away instead.
Okay.
So the 2 high priority now are Hanzo and Deckard Cain.
Feels bad to give Deckard away, but I think the value for Hanzo is just so much more, I don't want to say versatile, because we did just see Deckard almost, not single-handedly, but be so instrumental in winning a previous series. They go for neither, give 2 strong picks away for a Dahaka.
Yeah, in fact, I had actually already written Deckard on my paper, and I'll have to now delete that. So this gives both. And
exactly.
It's not like you and I are some sort of like sick wizards, and they're like, how did they know Deckard and Hanzo were the ones there?
Yeah, Deckard's the sick wizard, but Also Wiz, but we're not trying to confuse the situation. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't.
This is not rocket science
obvious.
here, right?
Yeah.
So this priority for Feliz needs to come up big. Like when we go in game, I need to see Hanaten make that impact with his rotations. He needs to be in pole position to make sure he's soaking all the time. Well, and, you know, we see OJ pull out his Muradin early. So what are the last two picks here going to be? Where this all comes together is what we have to wait and see.
So, Abana coming through.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
There's the low-hanging fruit, right? I can tell, like, the stem is weak. It's about to fall off, so I'm going to pretend that it's me.
You didn't say banana. You didn't say we got a banana.
I was thinking about it. I went for the lesser of two evils, Wolf. It was out there, and I didn't go for it. I have some humor morals.
Okay.
So I didn't pull that one out. But the idea is, what's up here? Feliz, weaknesses in-game, but this draft might be an out-of-game weakness that they can improve.
The Ana here is targeted towards Liu, who's this league's best, well, not best Ana player, but is the player who's played the most Ana, and it pairs really well with Li Ming with the Nano Boost, right? So that's the idea, so that's why they removed it. And with Deckard already on their side, it's probably going to force something like a Malfurion or a Karazim pick, which doesn't feel very powerful in this scenario. With the DPS of Li Ming already shown and no percentage-based potential in Leoric because they've already chosen Dahaka, this later Diablo pick on this map feels really strong with Yrel to pair. BlossoM has a very solid draft, very meta, and Feliz is going to have to make a convincing argument as to the priority of OJ's Muradin, Hanatan's Dahaka up at the top. How do they close this all out? Because it feels like they got what their players can play, but they don't have a draft that's solid yet. And it will be Karazim they choose at the end here for that extra burst.
That's right. It's going to help out Li Ming quite a bit when it comes to getting those resets that she's so well known for. The Raynor pick here is a little bit so you save it until it's safe to pick there at the end of the draft, and it will be very necessary to get the consistent DPS to chunk through these huge tanky front lines. But okay, here's an example that we get a chance to see of Falstad coming through as the global counter to Dahaka, or at least counterpart to Dahaka. I don't know necessarily if it's going to work out because, like you said, it's not exactly what we see teams go to match that.
There's a lot of different things I want to talk about for, I mean, the Falstad pick is great, and I said most of the time it's used at lower level teams in Korea, and that is, at least on Feliz's side, what we are dealing with here. BlossoM is a top 4 team until Miracle takes that away.
Right.
They're on their way. But the thing about the Falstad pick in this case is, yes, it's a counter to the Dahaka in some ways. It's not a counter so much as a mitigator. It means that you're going to also have the same amount of soak, and you have the ability to be global, so you never feel penalized for making big rotations when there's a Dahaka at top. But this draft has 5 heroes that control the boss insanely well. Look at this. Diablo, super tanky, is on the point. He's got Lightning Breath in that choke point. Hanzo clears the boss fast, has Dragon's Arrow to stun everyone in the boss pit. Deckard Cain. This time it's going to be a Lornado pick. You have Yrel, who jumps to people when she gets her armor talent at 4. She's going to give everyone armor in that pit. And then you've got Falstad for Gus. Like, how can you lose a boss ever if you're BlossoM on one of the only maps that has 2 bosses? and I mean, the Falstad kind of complements all of that, right? So I like this pick.
Seeing the win rates there, BlossoM 1-4. This is a better battleground.
Yes.
Okay.
And they picked it, so.
Yeah, that would make sense, but to put this in perspective, it's not a good battleground for either team. So, just something to keep in mind. It's going to improve for one of them.
Definitely true. We know that much. One of these teams is walking out of here a winner tonight.
That's right. We do force one team to win at the end of the day.
Yeah. BlossoM has been doing a lot more of the whole winning thing recently.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Look at this. Dahaka actually goes to the bottom lane instead of challenging Yrel in a bad matchup. And Dudu is going to try to threaten this gank, but in 2015, this would have been like Yrel been like, oh, Raynor, like, let's go. And then OJ gets a kill, but in 2018, the Muradin rotation that was popular 3 years ago is not going to lead to a gank.
Yeah, it's not all that anymore. So now it's a Muradin kind of lost. He went up top lane, stayed around, didn't really accomplish a whole lot, walked to mid, didn't really do much, and now he's just playing bodyguard down there on the bottom half. Honkono not really in any real danger.
Hanaten missed his tongue grab, and then Honkono tossed him. So
I thought he hit it. Did I? Wow,
I thought he missed it, but it looked like he was tossed by Diablo after missing his tongue grab. And then it was just kind of like, well,
okay,
this isn't going to work. It was a cool idea. What Feliz is doing is trying to mismatch the soul lanes. So as you can see, like, Urel will win the wave clear war, but she cannot threaten Raynor in lane because he's a ranged hero, and that's how soul lane matchups work.
So Raynor does not know that Falstad is there.
Yeah. So that could be an issue.
Yeah, he's waiting for the overextension, or at least for him to try to go for the fight, but I think he just revealed himself?
He did. And it's not going to work out in his favor.
It was a nice try.
Feliz a lot of mind games here with what they're doing with the lanes. And like putting Aimer in this bad matchup for Diablo means that he can shoot magic missiles at the wall. And I know like a lot of you guys are probably thinking like, well, Li Ming is not just a hero that shoots missiles at structures, Wolf, but it is one of her great strengths in the early game, and that's something they tried to set up. They did a lot of swapping, did a lot of rotating, and they end up losing out in experience as a result. And they're going to lose this war here on the cannon towers. BlossoM has the advantage positionally.
Yeah, first one going down, and there's that armor coming through just to make BlossoM a whole lot tankier. Honkono going in, the catch onto OJ. He gets kind of knocked around in a weird way, but stays alive.
They tried to interrupt his dwarf toss with Urel's stun, but it didn't work out the way they planned.
Dudu gets to cancel, but has to watch out for Wiz, who's going to push him back, keep him honest. OJ there for the re-deny, and nobody's going to be able to take that curse just yet.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, big 1v1 going on. It looks like Falstad may actually die here, potentially.
Hey, wow, that's actually really, really close. Looks like neither player wants to overcommit, so they're just going to kind of back off. That's why we're not watching it. Good observer, not being baited down.
Yeah, no, like, for sure. That's exactly the reason. But I saw he had to use Well, so Falstad's Well's on cooldown now.
Yeah, keeping it kind of even, but oh man, if that had hit, Modern might be a little bit sad right now. But staying safe.
Yeah, the Li Ming pick, they're trying to make these little things happen, and if you trade up, even if you get the minion wave only a Modern Life has to jump over the wall, then you get a little bit more damage done. So, kind of operating on that a little bit. It's so funny to me that BlossoM just doesn't have another answer to this Raynor mismatch in the top lane. So Urel, who normally gets a lot of value versus a Dahaka, for example, is not getting any, while as Dahaka is dealing with Gondar down here. So the globals match, and then Raynor wins the matchup. Like, Raynor is being played as a soul laner in this game, and it's BlossoM who has to flex to deal with the Dahaka and bot. Luckily, they have Falstad. If they didn't have Falstad, suddenly this becomes a nightmare for BlossoM to deal with.
Big problem. Here goes OJ jumping in, but it's a big tanky front line. 3-man root there off the scroll ceiling. Wow. That's yeah, exactly why you could tell that Honkono not really in any real threat.
Yeah, exactly. Hit the nail on the head on that one. Well, now that we're going to a bot-focused tribute, Dahaka will go to the top lane. We will have the rotation down of Dudu here on the Raynor. Extra soak to Falstad and Urel mid and bottom. Not respectively, I said that backwards, but it's going to be really tough for BlossoM to approach this angle, but Honkono could engage, and the scatter arrow means that rather than actually hard engaging, they can just chip everybody down at the moment.
Realistically, there's no way Feliz can take this tribute without actually committing to fighting, because you're not going to just be able to stand still and take all that poke forever.
Especially with Karzium versus Decker Kane. Like, he doesn't not have the same sustainability.
Absolutely. I mean, they're going to keep being annoying, but even just Honkono can stop that. So what are they really doing here? Are they just trying to waste BlossoM's time?
Notice exactly, because notice the bottom push that Li Ming is working on a little bit here. So Li Ming is rotating between kind of pushing everyone away here and then eventually working on those bot cannon towers. We do see actually a commitment to stunning Honkono, so he cannot interrupt. That was a close call.
Yeah, that was almost just enough for the
remember
the channel,
too,
but
that if this does complete, they will actually have Curse Point.
Right.
And Honkono is actually kind of trading up against OJ here, unfortunately. I think they finally will get this.
Oh, missed with a scroll, but nope, there's the scatter arrow. Wow. This is an exercise in futility for Feliz. They are really trying to be patient and win that way, but you know, it doesn't pay off. And in the end, it's Wiz that will tie things up.
You think we'll ever have a BlossoM Star League called the BSL? That's Wiz's dream, man.
There is actually already a BSL. It's not for Heroes of the Storm, but it's out there. In fact, I'm pretty sure there is an SL for basically every letter of the alphabet. The ZSL may be the last surviving SL that doesn't exist. Maybe we'll get
maybe the QSL. I'm just, of course, teasing about Wiz's misspelled ID here. BlossoM will force their way into this boss because they have insane boss control, plus they have 10. All those heroics I mentioned that they have that are so powerful to control boss, they've got them all locked in, including the Lorenado, which is the only one in question. So this is a fantastic position because now they can rotate to a favorable red side tribute and look to potentially double boss, because they have Hanzo, remember? Falstad can delay tribute and or threaten to channel it, then they can clear the boss with Hanzo very quickly. Feliz doesn't have really any options here. Dahaka checks it, which is super important, because it could have been done by now, actually, if they had skipped Knights. Looks like they're just going to let the boss do its thing, look for second tribute into the boss.
All right, so the schedule is full for BlossoM. They know exactly what they have to do, but can Feliz stop them? You know, Feliz were the ones, you know, with the impetus to contest the last one, and they couldn't make it happen, right? They inevitably had to back off. And so now kind of the ball is in BlossoM's court, right? And they are now going for this boss. So I think they're just going to be able to do it so much more quickly that they will have a huge momentum off of it. Yeah,
they can. I mean, look, Feliz took so long to clear that bottom boss, even when they had Raynor on it, comparatively, even though the boss was like on a fort, so it was taking extra damage from that, plus the minions.
Yeah.
BlossoM's like, yeah, I clear this boss in about 12 seconds. Like, it's no big deal. I have Hanzo, like, hello, first pick. You guys picked Dahaka? Okay. The Dahaka has not gotten much value.
Honkono way forward, trying to get out there, and there comes the seven-sided through, but just absolutely no damage. I mean, Merryday is at like 2/3 health, but he's not even concerned. There's such a huge tank line in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to get Honkono. You do massive damage with seven-sided if Honkono is caught in that blast alone, but the rest of the team was nearby. There was no follow-up. It was actually, I think, a bit of a itchy trigger finger that he did pull Liu there a little bit early. With this boss pushing top, and also the really nice flank position that they have with Gondar on the Falstad, it's just like, this is Curse. And if they're not decisive, it's Curse with boss, because the boss is still at like 1/3 health, I think, maybe even more.
Oh, Dragon Arrow comes through. It hits only really onto OJ as the frontliner. So now maybe there's a chance to get in here as Hanatan comes in for the flank. Lorenado pushing him around. There's a Lightning Breath pushing them back. Well, not physically, but makes them want to get out of there. And so, you know, Feliz try to start something, but they can't get anything done all the while. Boss hitting on that top lane wall, and now the Vengeance through from BlossoM. Will they get OJ? Just barely.
The turnaround on the Flame is actually what kills him, ironically, here. And, you know, I mean, with the boss pushing top and Honkono easily surviving through the seven-sided damage, this is basically BlossoM is one move away from checkmate. I mean, they have killed the queen with this. And the boss walks onto this keep with 1/5 health. Had they been decisive to burn the boss down and then trying to defend the curse, that would have been fine. Instead, after the arrow, which guaranteed the tribute, Feliz decided to fight, which meant that the boss was going to get insane value no matter what, because it was pushing under curse. So nothing could stop it. Boss has 2 health and basically will do the same thing. So the fact that it was low is insignificant. BlossoM's just going to get this keep, or at least that's the goal here.
I think it's, yeah, much wiser, much safer to just back off. And maybe they get it later from a push or something like that, but they're still getting damage done to the top keep, actually. So it's just an insanely effective push up top under Curse, like you said, and they just they win harder. After that, 2-level lead.
Yeah, it was just a very... It was a moment of indecision from Feliz to try to go for that fight while they were looking to maybe burn down the boss, and they did neither. They did not win the fight, they did not contest the tribute, and they didn't kill the boss. And again, it shows some of the... I mean, it reminds you that this is a team of rookies, basically, when some indecisiveness like this shows through with blinding light.
Yeah, you know, a team of rookies or underperforming players from other teams. And those are the really kind of the characteristic of the way the roster changes worked at the beginning of this phase, is that, you know, as the players shuffled around, a lot of players, you know, were traded from other teams to Feliz for what wound up being upgrades. whereas Feliz kind of, doesn't have quite as much to work with. You looked at, BlossoM, the big story for them was Merryday and Honkono coming out of retirement as superstars in their own right, back onto BlossoM and really powering up the roster for all the success that they've had. For Feliz, kind of the opposite story.
Only Liu and Dudu had HGC experience before this, and not a whole lot of it at that. Dudu, of course, being able to say he's played since OGN Super League Season 2 back in 2015, but otherwise, we have a roster of Aimer, who's been playing the game for a long time but never been pro, has only been playing in Open Division, right? Liu, some experience previously on other rosters, but OJ, like the king of Open Division and Invent Power League for the longest time, but never really had a chance to shine in the pro scene. It's it's not a good look at this moment in this game, but obviously this boss was never going to be taken. But again, it was a late rotation from Feliz to try to even contest, right? But now they're here. They put themselves at risk. The boss is pushing. You're lose-lose here. Your opponent is level 16. And this is a game that BlossoM is dominating. They will get 2 keeps probably off of this boss. This is a game they are dominating. Talent tier advantage with 1 kill. Just goes to show that Heroes of the Storm is all about macro. Rotational play is the way.
Absolutely. And yeah,
I have a bumper sticker that says that.
He's got it tattooed right underneath his, well, somewhere. We'll leave that up to your imagination. Is exactly what you said happens. Wolf, 2 keeps coming their way, and a little bit of bonus damage there on the core, or at least the shields. Yeah, the bottom keep is damaged by the boss that Feliz has to deal with, and they're just going to clean up the rest of this wave. The one thing that Feliz gets from this is that most of the lanes will be slightly pushed, which is something that will allow them to soak 16 fairly freely. Boss is up again here, right? So this could be the push to end. The question for me is this actually the right fight to take for Feliz? They're about to hit 16. I mean, they might not have a choice if Aimer gets caught. God. Oh, look at that Dragon Arrow. That is just the G-est of G's, Wolf. Dudu now probably the next to fall there. Not sure where that lightning breath is going. There we go. He finally finds Hanatan. Takes him out. OJ the next. And yeah, this is just one after another. The wombo combos coming through, and BlossoM just dominate. What is Liu doing? Well, he's going to keep his KDA a little bit higher. Very quiet. He's going to keep his KDA stats a little bit higher in this one. Like those, we do have those official stats here. That is true. It's like maybe I'll get a better offer after this game. I don't know about that, my dude, but he does survive. The rest of his team doesn't, so a moral victory in the end. It will be an actual victory for BlossoM as they take game number 1 in dominant fashion over Feliz. The problem with taking that fight was that you are rotating into a position where you are revealing yourself because in the front line, Honkono has all vision of the rotation coming in. So they have all the right ways and all the important information as to how to set up the arrow, how to set up the following fight. When you're rotating that far to take a fight, you're always asking to walk into a trap because BlossoM knows that when no one's showing a lane, you're coming. Honkono's in the bush, so he knows which angle you're coming at, where to throw the arrow, etc. And, he crushed the fight. 5 kills total in that after that last exchange when everyone except Liu dies. But basically the game was won with 1 kill from BlossoM. I just want to say that if they had not taken the boss, they would have had other significant challenges. The boss would have gone directly to the core. But maybe in a core fight scenario, they would have had a better shot. There were no other objectives on the map, so the boss wasn't going to gain anything else. I feel like a lot of teams say, like, will we fight where they have all the information we have none, and they have 16, we have 15? Or do we fight under the core where we also have 16? Most teams at the highest level of play would say, well, let's try to poke down the boss a little bit as it heads to our core. We have Rainer. Then we'll take the real fight as it hits the core. But Feliz decided to take the more risky approach, and BlossoM just, playing a game of dodgeball, sometimes you throw the ball with a soft lob, and your enemy catches it. That's